There are laws that prevent and prohibit people from looking through personal mail, and that is what is allowing the drugs to go through the system.
Tonight, a northern Manitoba chief says drugs sent through the mail contributed to a tragic death.
It's just really sad when you think about it. You look at the vaccine and you look at COVID and what it does to people.
COVID case numbers are still hot in Nunavut.
They said that he was going to be in the show like the next season, and I was like, oh, that's exciting. And then I got a call maybe about a week later, and they said he made the final 3.
And a Pooch with a sense of humor takes home a prize in America's funniest home videos. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. Nunavut has seen a steady rise in COVID-19 cases, and there are now 462 confirmed active cases in the territory. But schools and government offices are returning to full operation, or at least trying to. Our Ken Driscoll has more.
Faced with a growing case count, 462 positive cases in most of Nunavut's communities, double last week's total of 230, the government of Nunavut has decided to keep reopening government offices and schools. 13 Nunavummiut have been hospitalized during this Omicron wave. Nunavut's Human Resources Minister said offices in Igloolik, the most infected community, would stay closed. But elsewhere, government workers are expected to go to work.
All other Government of Nunavut employees may return to their workplaces. However, offices remain closed to the public except by appointment.
Igloolik has the most cases of COVID in Nunavut. Health Minister John Main has been railing against disinformation about COVID vaccines, and today directly tied immunization rates to infection rates.
We do have certain communities where there's a much lower number, and I am inferring that misinformation must play a role in those cases when we have facts that are being provided, repeated, and there is a lower uptake in certain communities. My feeling is that misinformation is a part of it, and unfortunately Igloolik appears to be an example of that.
Only 55% of the people in Igloolik have had 2 doses of a COVID vaccine. The health minister wants to see more.
It's just really sad when you think about it. You look at the vaccine and you look at COVID and what it does to people, and I see the vaccine, I see like a life jacket or a seat belt. Like, who is out there telling people not to wear life jackets when they go in the boat? That's unfortunately what we have when people are saying, don't take the vaccine, don't take the vaccine. It's a personal choice if you choose not to wear a life jacket when you go in a boat, but then to be going around and telling other people, don't wear a life jacket, don't wear a life jacket, it's really sad.
Iqaluit's caseload doubled over the weekend. On Monday, schools in Iqaluit returned to 100% attendance. One school's already canceled some classes due to sick teachers and lack of staff. The announcement about the return was made after 4 o'clock on Friday. Teachers had very little notice to prepare. This was the education minister's response when asked if the teachers had enough time.
And if it was to be announced at a later date, the question would be, why are we opening at a later date if it was a few days ahead? But there was the weekend to prepare. And
the numbers continue to climb. The restrictions continue to ease. Kent Driscoll, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
A death on the Saisi Dene First Nation, the northernmost First Nation in Manitoba, as leaders calling for more supports and changes in the community. Our Daryl Stranger has more details.
I find it stressful, I find it worrisome, and I need to keep calling out so that we get the help we need, And so
that's Saisi Dene First Nation Chief Evan Yassey speaking after a 21-year-old man from the community died this past weekend. It is believed drugs led to a series of events around the man's death. The 21-year-old was accused of assaulting multiple people, and when police tried to arrest him, he turned a gun on himself. The community is a remote flying community with the only other mode of transportation via Winter Road, which is currently closed. Chief Yassey says the death, coupled with other problems in the community, is why more supports are needed.
The infrastructure is not there. The funding levels don't meet the needs of the community, and the capacity of the community, communication-wise, hinders the way we can respond to emergency situations within the community. And so there's a lot of factors here going on.
Both Yassey and MKO Grand Chief Garrison Satie also expressed concerns over illegal substances entering Saisi Dene. They say drugs and alcohol are coming in through Canada Post.
I know that there are laws that prevent and prohibit people from looking through personal mail, and that is what is allowing the drugs to go through the system. So therefore, we need to look at ways on how we can work together to ensure that we have the ability and also the capacity to be able to protect the community from illegal and illicit drugs going to First Nations.
Manitoba Justice Minister Kelvin Gertsen said in a statement he will be meeting with the Federal Minister of Justice later this week to discuss illegal substances going through the mail. This is an issue nationally that police have raised in an effort to obtain federal authority to better prevent deadly drugs like opioids moving through the mail system, and a concern that I share as well. Canada Post said the devastating toll illicit drugs and alcohol has in Indigenous communities is of great concern, and they are working on enhanced security measures. We are working closely with law enforcement partners in the northern Manitoba region, and our postal inspectors continue to coordinate efforts with the local post offices and community leaders. The Independent Investigation Unit of Manitoba is investigating the young man's death. Neither the RCMP or Chief Evan Yassey have identified the 21-year-old man. Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Further west now, and despite efforts from Indigenous leadership, the proposed Grassy Mountain coal mine in southern Alberta will not be going through. In June, a joint federal-provincial panel said the mine by Benga Mining wasn't in the public interest. Then Benga, the Piikani and Stoney Nakoda nations requested to appeal that decision, stating it would benefit the communities economically. Now the Alberta Court of Appeal denied that request. Adam North Pagan with the Mountain Child Valley Society calls the decision a victory.
This is something that we've been working probably for the last year and a half to bring about awareness on the impacts of, open pit coal mining in southern Alberta and how it will desecrate Piikani ancestral lands for many generations to come. We see it as a victory and hope that it'll finally put it to rest.
The protests on Parliament Hill have entered their fourth day. That's prompted questions about whether the police would have responded differently if the convoy was Indigenous-led. We asked, and boy, you answered. Hundreds of comments were posted on social media about the convoy. Here's some of what you had to say. Here's what Dan Oldfield had to say on Facebook. Quote, "You can guarantee if it was a First Nations protest, there'd already be arrests." However, Sarah St. John says aside from a few bad apples, the Freedom Convoy has largely been a peaceful event. Quote, "Since the beginning, organizers made it clear they want it to be peaceful and respectful, and that anyone who becomes violent or belligerent should be reported to the police and does not represent the views of the convoy." Sylvia Coburn simply says, quote, "Truckers take the troublemakers that aren't part of your agenda and hand them over to the cops." Carly Lewis says there is an Indigenous component to the Freedom Convoy. Quote, "There are dozens of videos of Aboriginal drummers and supporters there," she says. James Jr. St. Denny says the Indigenous land rights movement needs to hold its own protest on Parliament Hill. Quote, "We need to convoy to Ottawa next. Land back convoy." Well, you can still let us know what you think about these trucker convoys. Here's how you can continue the conversation. You can send your emails to news@aptn.ca or visit our website, aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Time now for a quick break. Still to come, a First Nation starts to bring the children back home.
The length of time that children have been in care without any visits, not even to their home, was, just heartbreaking.
Welcome back. The Cold Lake First Nation in Alberta has built their own child welfare program. Just 2 years after Bill C-92 passed, and they've begun bringing children back home from provincial CFS. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
Connie Santos has worked for Child Services in 3 provinces, acting as agency director in 2 of them. For the past year, she has been the director of the Cold Lake Family and Community Support Services. With the passing of Bill C-92 in 2019, the bill gives Indigenous communities the power and authority over their own child and family services. Connie Santos built a staff of 12 to bring back as many children in the Alberta child welfare system as possible. A system she says is faulty.
The length of time that children have been in care without any visits, not even to their home, was, just heartbreaking. We had been involved with one family, and that little guy had already been removed from the home. It was 1 or 2 years later that they asked us to become involved. So we did, and it was the first time in that time that little boy got to come home to his home.
She says the provincial system has not been as helpful as they should in returning children that should be in their home instead of a group or foster home. Their list of children was incomplete.
What is difficult to get from the social workers is the actual information. What's going on? Where's the child? How many visits are being had? How can we get visits happening? How can we move children home? The biggest one is how to move children home. We have not come across one social worker to date that said, hey, can we move this child back? Do you have somebody? We've not come across that at all. And that list of 65 they gave us, our list is up to 187 to date.
She said the barriers have not stopped them from bringing children back to Cold Lake.
And we were able to eventually, family after family after family, breaking down those doors, and we were able to as of December 31st, we were able to bring home 17 children. And so it's a big deal, and we plan to have a big celebration on February 19th to demonstrate, that welcoming the children back home after all those years of being away. It's, for some would say it was like jail.
On December 31st, Jane was reunited with her daughter. APTN cannot reveal her name due to privacy laws. Addiction issues caused her to lose custody of her daughter to the provincial child welfare system. Now clean for almost a year, she has been reunited with her daughter after 4 years apart.
Now I get to have my little girl in my care and have her watch her grow up, go to school, make friends, learn people in her community, learn her cultural ways, her language.
She says she and her daughter have already become close.
She's doing really good. She knows who her family is. She's all the time, it's mommy, mommy, mommy this, mommy that, and then chop on her, auntie, auntie. And I have a boyfriend, a fiance, and he actually stepped in as a role model for my daughter as a dad. and like as a stepdad. So she calls him daddy.
No, yeah, her birthday party.
She says staying sober has completely changed her life.
If it wasn't for me changing my addictions and me getting, you know, clean, I probably wouldn't have my daughter back. And for the people that helped me get her back, I'm grateful for them. And I'm grateful for their support. And I'm happy to have my daughter back in my life after 4 years. 4 years of barriers after barriers after barriers. She's home now, and I'm grateful. My heart is full now.
Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Cold Lake, First Nations.
Thanks, Chris. Time for one more quick break. Coming up, we'll introduce you to a family and their Pooch that was recently on America's Funniest Home Videos.
They said that he was going to be in the show like the next season, and I was like, oh, that's exciting. And then I got a call maybe about a week later, and they said he made the final 3.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. And we've received another great owl picture. This one from Annette Demert in southern Alberta. Annette captured this shot on her way home. Thank you to Annette for sharing. If you want to be our photo of the day, email your pictures to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at Wednesday's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, +1 in Halifax, 0 for Charlottetown. -9 with snow in Nain, 6 below, and snow for Happy Valley Goose Bay. +3 in Montreal, -21 in Chibougamau. -8 with snow in Sault Ste. Marie, 16 below in North Bay. -13 for Thunder Bay, -21 in Sioux Lookout. 21 below for God's Lake and Norway House. Sunny and -20 for Winnipeg, Gimli and Dauphin. -25 under the sun in Regina, Saskatoon and North Battleford. -24 in Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge. Over in northern Alberta, sunny and -21 in Fort McMurray, -23 in High Level. 17 below in Red Deer, Calgary and Medicine Hat. +3 with snow in Vancouver, -5 with snow in Kamloops. -10 in Prince George, 14 below for Dease Lake. -32 in Old Crow, -37 for Dawson. 31 below in Yellowknife, -26 in Norman Wells. -28 in Sax Harbor, 1 degree warmer in Paulatuck. -35 in Chesterfield and Whale Cove where snow is expected. -32 in Arctic Bay, 36 below in Joe Haven. ABC's hit TV show, America's Funniest Home Videos, just aired an episode that featured a family from Burnaby, BC, and their beloved pit bull. APTN's Tina House has the story on how they did on the show and what led to the video that was submitted.
Carrie Ann Kennedy says her 2-year-old pit bull named Kilo is always posing for the camera and doing funny things, which she records on her phone. Carrie Ann never really thought that these videos would be seen by anyone, but it was her cousin Nikki who urged her to submit to America's Funniest Home Videos. So just for fun, she did.
I got a call I think about a week later or so, and they said that he was going to be in the show the next season, and I was like, oh, that's exciting. And then I got a call maybe about a week later, and they said he made the final 3.
And this is the video that was submitted called The Main Event.
What do you think, Kilo? You don't like it? He's looking at himself in the mirror. If he wins first place, he'll win $10,000. Second is 3, and third is 2. So he's guaranteed at least $2,000. Hey?
U.S. dollars, too.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Kilo? Guaranteed at least 2,000, which is fine by me. I mean, this is the second couch we've had because he chewed up the first one.
Because of COVID restrictions, the production sent Carrie Ann a light ring, camera, and laptop to film her interview with the host, instead of traveling to the studio in Los Angeles, California. And 1 month later, we were back to film the night the episode aired, and the family got to watch Kilo's starring debut and find out in which place he won in the competition.
Kilo! Look, Kilo! Oh my God, is that you? Kilo, you're on TV? He's watching himself. Is that you? Is that you on TV?
And the winner of the $10,000 in tonight's funniest home video is Little Doggy That Comes That by Brandy Beason.
And how does Kilo feel about the big win?
Kilo, he just won 3,000 US. How does that feel?
How does it feel, Kilo?
Does it feel good? How does it feel?
And like any humble winner, he didn't have a lot to say. But his family will be going shopping for another couch very soon. Tina House, APTN National News, Burnaby.
Congrats to Kilo and the family. That's like 5,000 Canadian. That's a great work. You look funny. Logan Stats was already an award-winning musician and producer within Indian country, but winning another reality-based show, a musical competition program, The Launch, took his career to the next level. 4 years later, Stats is back with new music on a new label and with a new lease on life. Stats is our guest tonight on a new episode of Face to Face, where we discuss his new music video that was filmed at the Mohawk Institute Residential School and the Land Back Lane Camp.
I really wanted to kind of show polar opposites, show one place that ripped and tore my culture away. And I also wanted to show another place that gave me pride in my culture, and Land Back, as crazy as the whole situation is, it did connect me to my community, and it did connect me to Six Nations.
It's a great video and great song. Logan Stats was also recently arrested in Wet'suwet'en territory, where he is on the front lines of the fight to stop the Coastal GasLink natural gas pipeline. You can watch our entire episode on Face to Face right here in less than 2 minutes' time. And be sure to join us tomorrow live at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's when Melissa will be putting the child welfare system in focus. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Tuesday. For news anytime, you can visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. Have a great day.